it is, the new Pro Series Magnum 272R transmission. Well, here it is laid out in front of me. How's it going, everyone? I'm Greg with RC Driver, and today we're going to take a closer look at this new option part from Traxxas. Now, the Magnum transmission was actually developed for the Traxxas drag slash. Drag cars take a ton of abuse, especially in the transmission when you're laying down the power on the asphalt. And so Traxxas revised their transmission. Their old transmission was actually very good. There were some points where maybe you would shear a roll pin, or maybe you would want to tune the differential, and you weren't really able to do that with greases because it wasn't a sealed differential. So they developed this transmission here that will handle a drag slash. However, it will fit into their other two-wheel drive models, such as their Bandit, the Rustler, the Stampede, and even a slash, and of course a drag slash as well. But let's take a closer look at this. I've got everything unboxed, and of course you get an instruction manual that gives you the basics on how to install it. You get the assembled transmission itself. You also get this rear adapter plate that adapts the slash bumper and a number of spur gears depending on what you're going to install it in. You may have to swap out the spur gears, and they give you some additional hardware such as motor screws and screws to hold on the bumper insert mount. It's really ready to just drop right into a car. So let's now just talk about the transmission itself. Again, it is a much more robust transmission, more tunable transmission. We've got a nice gear cover on here from the factory. Here is the rear bumper support, whether you're going to go and use it in a slash or on the back of a drag car, or just use it as a bumper guard on a Stampede. So that's a nice solid unit. The layout of the transmission is a little bit lower than the original transmission, and the gears on the inside are actually backwards compatible from what I understand. So the idler gear and the top shaft gear are backwards compatible as far as size. However, the new top shaft is press fit into the gear, where the old one had that roll pin that would sometimes shear off, depending on how you drove your vehicle, how you modified it with whatever motor you put in there. So the press-on gear on the top shaft, the hardened top shaft, is a much nicer option in my opinion. And then we have a sealed gear differential, and we don't have that planetary gear differential anymore that was in the older cars. This one is a bevel gear setup, and again, it's sealed, so you can go and tune it with different oils. It comes all assembled from the factory. I didn't find out, however, what is inside the differential. They say in the instructions that you can build it with lithium grease or with oils. I'm thinking it might be grease. I haven't taken it apart yet. I will in a little bit, and we'll find out. I'll let you guys know. But worst case is, if you're going to install it in a different vehicle, you may want to go and pick up the Traxxas Oil Kit. They give you all different weight oils in there, so you could go and tune and try different oils out if you want to. But at the very least, you could go and drop this in. However, I did read the small asterisks on the box, and it says if you want to go and drop this into a drag slash, they recommend that you go and pick up the 500,000 weight oil. So I'm guessing it's definitely not 500,000 weight oil that's in here, but it actually feels like there's some sort of oil in here. It does feel nice and smooth. Another neat feature of this transmission is once you pull it out, you can drop the differential out of the bottom of it, so you don't have to take the case halves apart anymore. So I do like that function, especially if you are going to go and test and tune with different oils. Large ball bearings throughout. They are sealed ball bearings, and then you have your Traxxas slipper clutch. It's 3 bolts for the spur gear. They've got their metal plates and their large slipper pads, the 3 pad slipper in there. So like I said, they give you motor screws, and it's pretty easy to go and drop this right in. I mean, you're just using your motor. You pull off your suspension arms, move them over to this, slide it into the chassis, bolt the shock tower on the top, put the screws in the bottom, and you're almost ready to go. What you put on the back depends on your car as well, whether it's a drag bar or a rear bumper. And probably my favorite feature of this transmission is the aluminum motor plate. The original transmissions, they are a composite motor plate, and after a while of tightening down the screws and maybe changing gears and stuff, it crushes the composite, and it makes it hard to adjust gears later on down the road. Or if you're really hard on your stuff and you're nosing down off of jumps, a composite motor plate can give a little bit, and maybe that's when you blow out a spur gear or something like that. So the aluminum plate, much more sturdy, and it's still easy to access the slipper nut here under this rubber plug. So What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and drop this into, I think I'm gonna drop it into a Stampede. A lot of people said I should drop this into a Slash, but we've already seen it in a drag Slash. So let's just change it up and throw it in something different. We'll take it out for a quick run. I'll let you know what I think of the transmission.
All right, drivers, it's a beautiful 45-degree day out, and here we are with the Stampede VXL on 2S with the Magnum transmission installed. And I've been having a lot of fun with this truck. It's been staying on all four wheels. That's what happens when you have 2S, but that body looks too good to wreck. And I've noticed that the rear end stays planted. That diff is really working right. With the stock planetary diff, that grease starts to spread out in there and the rear end will get loose on you. So far, this is my second pack on here. It's staying consistent. If you ever go and open up the differential, I'd suggest getting rid of the black grease that's inside of it, using oil. I'll probably start on this truck, I'll probably start with 10,000 and go from there. But so far, so good. All right, I'm gonna continue to drive this some more just to make sure everything is working good. And after that, I'll head back to the studio and we'll wrap up this review.
Before dropping the Magnum transmission into the truck, I did go ahead and take it apart just to see what was going on inside, and the gears were really well greased. And then I took the differential apart, and that was greased with a black lithium grease as well. So just a heads up, if you want to use differential oils, you're going to have to clean that grease out of the differential first. But other than that, the install went really well. In fact, I could probably do it in under 15 minutes. It's really that easy to do, and it's a really well-built piece. It fits right in without problem. And actually, while I was putting it back together, I noticed that the hinge pins slide right in much easier. With the older rear bumper mount that they had, it slipped over the chassis and sometimes you couldn't get the screw pins out without kind of tweaking things. With this new rear piece that they have, you could slide the pins right in nice and easily. So it kind of helps speed things up if you're taking your truck apart often. But obviously after the install, I took it out to drive it around for a bit, and this transmission works really well. It's nice and smooth, it's nice and quiet. And what I really noticed is the grease stayed in the differential to add friction to the gears. So, I mean, I have a number of packs through this and there is still resistance here in the differential. If this was one of the planetary gear differentials, this would spin nice and free, and that kind of causes erratic handling. It causes your car to spin out. You're not getting maximum performance out of it. And I'm not really knocking the older transmission, but again, they revised this transmission so it's much stronger and the differential acts as it's supposed to. It's now a tuning feature to this car. So if you're building something that requires performance, whether it is a drag car or, you know, a racing slash, this is certainly a transmission to check out. Do you absolutely need this transmission? No. Again, the older transmission was a very good transmission. It still is. You're gonna have a great time with it. You know, you might have to replace the differential grease more often in it because it does seep out. It's not sealed. You know, you do have to watch your motor plate, not cranking down on your motor screws. And if you do, you know, encounter a problem where you're blowing out spur gears, it may be because there's some flex in your composite motor plate of the old transmission. And this new transmission takes care of all of that. I love the aluminum motor plate on here. I love the tunability of the differential. I like that it's low slung now. I like the new rear mount on here. It is a really good transmission. And if you need to service it, it is a bit easier than the older one. So it does have a lot of benefits to it. The other thing though is it's $140, and when you kind of look at the prices of things out there, it's a little more expensive than the Proline transmission. You know, if you look at $140 transmission price, you could almost buy a whole slash for another 60 bucks. So it is a higher price option part, but I really like the tunability of it. In fact, I've got my Traxxas differential oils here. This is their variety pack that they offer. They have 10,000, 30,000, and 50,000 in here, and I could start tuning with this to make my life easier. I'll have part numbers and links to everything in the description below if you're interested in it. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you would add it to a non-drag slash vehicle, or if you're building up your own custom drag slash, if you would add it to that. I think it's a pretty good option. I wonder if they're gonna start putting it into cars as well. That'd be pretty interesting to see. All right, if you haven't done so yet, please click that subscribe button and the notifications bell. Throw this video a like. We'll see you back soon for some more RC Driver videos.